What up, what up, what up? Greetings, everyone. Greetings. Welcome back to another stream. Let's get this started. And start announcing it live. We are live again. All right, let me figure it out. I have so much tabs open. Let me figure this out real quick. We are live. Hello, Percules. First to the party. All right, this is done. That is sorted. Let's start going live on Twitter and Kick. Boom. Kick. And then also we have Twitter as well. Okay. Bear with me. Hello, Marlo. Hola desde Argentina. What do you think of that? I don't speak Spanish. But how are we doing? I know hola stands for hello. So hello. Hola to you too. What day is it today? 26th. And then start the thumbnail. Let's post this on Twitter as well. Nice. And we are now going live on Twitter. Nice. Okay, everything should be working. Live on Twitter. Create a studio. Let's see this. All right, live on Twitter, live on YouTube, live on Kick. Now we are going to go live on Twitch. If my OBS freezes, then I'm cooked. Did my OBS just freeze, guys? I think my OBS has just frozen. Can anyone still hear me? Because my OBS is not loading. Let me know if you guys can still hear me. And we'll see if OBS... No, this is working. Let me know if you guys can still hear me. And we'll see if OBS... No, this is working. Okay, why did it just freeze? Application not responding. All right, I'm going to reset the stream, so bear with me. Let me reset the stream real quick. And then we... All right. It should be back up and good to go. Let's start doing all of the inputs again. And hopefully it doesn't freeze this time. If it does, then we're cooked. Twitch, okay. Everything should be good to go now. Everything should be good to go. Let me know if it's clear on your end. Oh no, let's see the music. Alright. Seems to all be good. Let me just double check. One final check with Twitter. Yeah, Twitter is all good. Kick is all good. Hopefully. Let me see. Yep, Kick is up and running. Twitch is up and running. All right, we're good. Nice. So now let's begin. Finally. Took forever. All right, let me know in chat if we come into any issues. But for now, should be good to go. Actually, yeah, let me post this on Instagram as well. Let me post this. I made a volume profile video yesterday as well. So make sure you guys watch that if you haven't watched it yet. How comes I'm not on Chart Fanatics? I think they are trying out someone new. Someone new is on Chart Fanatics today. So I was gonna go on. They asked me to go on Chart Fanatics tomorrow, but unfortunately I can't because I'm streaming on my own channel. But yeah, I was gonna go on Chart Fanatics tomorrow with Pavlovic. But yeah, so that's why I'm not at Chart Fanatics today. But I should be back on Chart Fanatics next Wednesday. And yeah, let me post this on stories real quick. Let me post this. Archived. Yeah, I think Chart Fanatics has someone new today. Haven't heard him before. Haven't heard of him before. But he should be good. Get the links and start posting on socials, streams, copy link. How are you guys all doing so far? Let's wait for a couple more people to join and then we'll start breaking down. And also once I've posted this shit. Right, should be good to go. Posting that on YouTube. Nice. All right, everything's up and running. Cool. Let's begin. How are we all doing today? It's a Wednesday and we've gotten, if you look at the current H4 over here. Let's see if that's recording. Yeah, that is showing very nicely. Let me know if you guys could see my second chart over here. Just expanded it and made it a bit larger. But when you're looking at the current H4, it looks pretty bearish. So going into the session, let's see what we have for now. I did take a swing trade to go short. Right, entered. Where did I enter? Entered somewhere around here, with my stops above here, and then I've scaled in as well to another position. So this is the current swing trade I'm in right now, looking to target next level of potential support over here. So this is probably going to be like a 2.3, 2.5 hour trade. And that is on the swing account. Right, so far, it looks like it's playing out. However, this is going to be obviously a level of support, especially this one over here. But once we've broken that out, it should have no issue going down to 28500, I think, in my opinion. But let's see what the market does for now. That is just what I'm currently seeing on swing. Hold on, let me just reload and then start breaking down what I want to see today. So this was yesterday's price action. If you are new here, right, I just look at CME regular trading hours. So this is yesterday's regular trading hours. It's not showing electronic or extended trading hours yet. Well, not yet, but it never does show it anyway. So that is something you have to account for. But right now we are trading at 29160. Yeah, trading at 29160, which is around here. So there's going to be a gap when we open 160. Right, there's going to be a gap when we open, so don't be overwhelmed by that. That's just a regular trading hours gap. And that is the current level we're trading at pre-session. Let's look at volume profile and break down what we're currently seeing. So, yesterday, like I said, we were just playing in between this balance range, which is naked value area, and also this naked value area over here. So it's a bit of a shithole. It's not the best conditions to be playing in yesterday because, you had the rejections away from the, like I mentioned this yesterday on stream. You can see that we had a rejection away from the naked value area on Friday. Bounced lower, but it doesn't leave you enough room for a nice expansion to the downside because you have this previous session's value area now, right? The range from this high to this high over here, I mean this low to this high over here, is around approximately 80 points. So it doesn't give you a lot of room for a nice expansion play to the downside, for a nice imbalanced state of delivery until it comes into the next state of balance. So, you know, yesterday wasn't the best day. We still was positive in I think we were up 1 point R. No, what the hell was 1 point R? 1 R. Yeah, we were still in profit by 1 R. And you know, we had good risk management, guys. Good risk management. Hopefully today it provides us with better conditions, because I am still leaning towards a bearish narrative here. I still want to see price continue dumping lower, because when you're looking at the value area and when you're looking at the volume profile, you can see that yesterday we closed with the value area in between these two balance ranges. So if the market was bullish and buyers were in control, ideally we should close inside of Friday's balance range. However, it rejected from Friday's balance range, which signals to you buyers and sellers weren't exactly satisfied with Friday's level anymore, with Friday's balance range, and instead they still continue to facilitate prices lower. However, this is the level of support. So you can't be sure that we are continuing bearish yet until we've actually broken below this level at least. Right, once we've broken below this level at least, then you could look for that imbalanced state of delivery. However, in the meantime, it does look like we could potentially break lower. If you look at where the market is currently playing at, which is around 29164. Right, this is where the market is currently playing at. So we're playing inside what is this? Monday's value area for now. So you could expect for two-sided price delivery, slightly leaning bearish. That is what I am anticipating for this session. But let's shift this back and then look at current market price action. Right, so you know, yesterday's value area is marked out already for me, and the red line is Monday's naked value area low. And now we've opened. So we've opened below yesterday's value area. If we are able to maintain price action below yesterday's value area, which is the blue lines over here, and you know, this is the volume point of control, then you could anticipate for downside. However, like I said, this territory is Monday's value area. So, you know, need to just wait for price to play out, in my opinion. Am I using the daily profile or session profile? I'm using regular trading hours, so session profile. My volume profile is the daily, but is calculated based on regular trading hours. So it's only daily in the sense that it's 9:30 New York time until 4 p.m. New York time. So, you know, this isn't good, guys. This isn't this is not ideal. Not ideal conditions. However, it's not ideal because you're going to get a two-sided delivery here. Especially at the volume point of control. And I wouldn't even look to play rotational plays off of value area low, because you have the volume point of control, you know, as a resistance level. The best trades, in my opinion, would be looking for a rotational short play inside yesterday's value area. And if you look at volume profile, this is where we are currently at. So this is the open so far, right? We're just coming into yesterday's value area for now. If we are able to break above this high, break and retest, then you can look to long to potentially this naked value area high over here and fill in these low volume nodes, right? Because this is inefficient prices. But for now, I would just stay on my hand. Now, this was the naked value area low that I marked out on my range chart. Let's see. Where are we currently at with this? Yeah. Right, let's see. Moving back to volume. Another stream from the GOAT. Let's reload this. Let's make sure my extra charts isn't bugging out. Last thing I want. I want to see us dump. I really want to see us dump. But that is just what I want. What the markets currently want is two-sided price delivery, two-sided price action. We're satisfied here. CVD is increasing. CVD is increasing. Aggressive buyers seems like they are currently in control, right? Large control from aggressive buyers at the moment, above the baseline level regarding CVD. Let's see. We're also playing above VWAP, rejected from yesterday's value area low off of market open. So now the question becomes whether we could stay inside value area, and you're looking for rejection plays or rotational plays off of value area high. Because like I said, I wouldn't do value area low simply because you have this volume point of control over here. And the market is likely going to just consolidate. Or we break above and then you get our retest to continue higher. This would be the best scenario in my opinion, since that would represent an imbalanced state of delivery. So we transition from a balanced state of delivery to an imbalanced state of delivery. However, if you look at what the market is currently doing, we can get this as well. So that is also, I'm also open to the idea, but I'm not too keen on the idea. The reason why I'm not too keen on the idea is for the reasons mentioned, right? We're just coming into Monday's value area. However, Monday's value area isn't really a problem. Because the only naked value area level is the value area low. So I could still attempt to short off of the extreme. So extremes being the value area high, value area low, and come into this naked value area low over here. Right, so you could still look for a break and retest back inside 29,000, 29,060, since that is Monday's naked value area low. Even though, we are inside, this is, this whole price action over here, or this whole range over here, is Monday's value area territory. But yeah, if you enter off of the extreme, you could, you could still be safe. You should still be safe anyway. Let's see what the market does. We shall see what the market's currently doing. Right, you see what I mean? You're not going to get large expansions within the value area. You're not. 7 minutes into New York Bell now. You know, it's not even within my execution time frames anyway. See, currently, you know, we have some bubbles, but not much to be honest. You could have entered a, okay, hypothetically speaking, you could have entered a position here. If it was before, if it was during my execution window, which is, you know, after 10-15 minutes, you could have entered a position here and looked to target the value area high. That would be valid. And the reason why is because usually when I break above an internal level, you want to break and retest. That's the highest probability. However, because within the initial break, you already had selling absorption. So if you look at my left screen, you have selling absorption here. And where it's set up, where the entry actually set up, and where the whole trade idea is set up, this is the low. So if we break below this low, the break and retest or whatever internal level setup is going to be invalid anyway. So if you enter here with your stops below here, you don't necessarily have to wait for a retest, right? That is hypothetically speaking. I obviously wouldn't enter that because we are, you know, it's still only 9 minutes into the session. So I want to see the volatility play out and, you know, let price resettle. But yeah, this range, you're most likely going to just get one rotational plays here. Nothing is random. Left is the 30 seconds chart. Yeah, left is the 30 second. However, don't pay too much attention to it. Don't pay too much attention to the left screen. Yeah, because like I said, right, the left screen, I only have it on the time frame chart because I want to double cross-check the big trade bubbles. Since the big trade bubbles on the range chart doesn't work effectively, right? Not effectively, but it's like it's broken, it's bugged on exo charts. So that's what I have to do. The time frame bubbles work fine. Like you could see, you could compare the same price levels. There'll be more big trade bubbles on the 30 seconds in regards to the range chart, which doesn't show at all. Range is my normal one. Range is my main time frame or main chart, whatever you want to call it. You don't like traditional footprint charts? Have you ever used them to see imbalances and detailed order flow at price levels? I do use them, but I use them on the high time frame. So for example, I use them for M12 and 1 hour, right? I use traditional footprint charts in that sense. I don't look at imbalances, even though I've seen it work. Imbalance actually work pretty well, especially stacked imbalances, depending on the settings you have. I remember my filter was 200, 250. Yeah, somewhere around there, or it might be 175. Around those ranges, it does work really well. So, yeah. That is something you could experiment, but I don't have it on currently, to be honest with you. I mainly just use the traditional footprint chart on the high time frame. That's just going to give me a much more precise level. But big trades, it shows the same thing. Well, not entirely the same thing, but it gives you sufficient enough information in the fastest amount, in the shortest amount of time, which is what you need when you're scalping. What is my range set at? My range is set at 80 range. My range is the 80 range. So from the high to the low is 20 points because 80 ticks is 20 points, right? 4 ticks is 1 point. And then from the low to the high to the low, 20 points, approximately around there. So you can see how each of these candles, they're like similar in size. And that just removes the reason why I use the range chart, like I say, is to remove the time aspect of it, right? The time variable, to just ensure that when I'm looking at the big trades, when I'm looking at absorption, I have one less variable to deal with. And in my opinion, that just makes it slightly more accurate. Slightly more accurate. So yeah. Of course, it all comes down to personal preferences because, you know, the strategy works. The framework works on every single time frame. Works on every single time frame. Now you see this, guys? A lot of times you're just gonna, you know, sit on your hands and wait. A big part about trading is knowing when to stay out of the market and knowing when to actually execute. When you have a good framework, it becomes extremely easy. So only 13 minutes into the session so far. We did have red folder. We did have red folder at 8:30 a.m. But I think the next red folder would be on Friday at 10 a.m. New York time. All right, so we've gotten a break to the upside. Now you're looking for a break and retest, essentially. And I would wait for this one. I would want for this high to get taken out. I wouldn't enter off of the value area high straight away. Right, because now with the value area, I tend to be more selective with it. You know, I don't want to be too quick. I want price to really show me that it wants to break above. CVD is extremely high at the moment. Extremely high. Extremely bullish. We don't want to short this either. But let's see. Right. Aggressive buyers are absorbed here. Starting to get a retest. If they could break above this level, I would likely entertain a long to the upside. Being really careful here. Being very careful. Like I said, I don't want to short this because delta is positive. Delta is still positive. Even if buyers get absorbed here, if aggressive sellers are unable to take back control, the market isn't going to move lower. So I'm just really watching for the delta. Seeing who's able to take last minute control. See, so now it's flipped bearish. However, look at the candle. Alright, gonna enter into position here. This is gonna be an aggressive one because we haven't closed above yet. Ideally, you want to wait for candle closures, but I'm going to just take this bet and see. This is just on props. I haven't entered on personal yet. Once we fully break above this, then I'll scale in on personal. This is solely betting on the fact that buyers are able to take back control. Right, stop loss taken, -1R. That's why you wait for candle closures, right? But I just got too aggressive with it. see. -1 on props. Delta is starting to flip here. But then you have VWAP here, so. Let's wait until, I'm going to wait until this M12 candle closes and then determine and see what it does. I am not one to short here. I do not want to short here. I don't want to attempt a long either until we break above this high. Even though we've had the starting absorption here and then initiation, you know, it doesn't look like a good long until we break at least above this level. This is the level that is holding price back. Until we can break above that, then there's no longs. Just seeing how price plays out right now. CFD has turned flat. So we're getting a battle of orders at above the value area high. Now the question becomes, who is able to take control from this battle of order? I'm favoring buyers taking control simply because when you look at the M12, yeah, it's bullish, extremely bullish. CFD, no signs of slowing down yet, but this candle does close in 4 minutes, so you have to see how it closes down. Where's VWAP? What the hell? Is my VWAP broken? No, VWAP is all the way down there. Yeah. If we flip on Delta here to go bearish, then there's a potential for shorts. However, the target isn't that high. The target isn't too high probability. Ah! Let's see. Playing back inside his range now. We are back inside the range. We have a lot of buying absorption within the M12 candle, as you would anticipate from these highs. However, CVD is still bullish overall with M12. So I'm not expecting like a large dump yet. I think buyers are still able to hold control here. If buyers are able to still hold control, there's a good chance we come back up and retake this. Which is why I wanted to avoid shorts. I feel like buyers are still heavily in control here. But when you're looking at this candle, like these price action, you can see that there's a clear battle of orders here. At the lows of, you know, this small range, you have... Yeah, hold on. Let's see if we can break above here. Ideal scenario, break above. Boom. That's the most ideal scenario at the moment. CFD starting to shift high again. Buyers are taking back a lot of control. Reaction off of VWAP. But like I said, I don't want to go long until we break above this level. But you could see why I didn't want to go short. Even though we had the mechanical setup, we had the mechanical setup, right? We had the absorption, we have the initiation, and you could have gone short, but buyers are still in control here. So that's something I'm wary of. You know, CVD is still above baseline, still positive. We've rejected from the value area low already from yesterday's session. So I am leaning towards a bullish narrative at the moment. I am leaning towards a bullish narrative. But for now, let's see what the market does. Not too quick to take anything anymore. Right, the first trade was really aggressive. Right, I didn't wait for candle closure, and that was just a mistake on my end. But I wanted to just bet on the fact that buyers were able to hold control above here. Yeah, that is a lesson for you, and a lesson for me as well. You don't wait for candle closures. Right, now we're getting another battle. Large aggressive buying here. It doesn't really move price. Seller stepping in. Hopefully, we could break above here. Once we break above here, you could look for a retest and then play off of the inverted level. Because the theory behind this is we had a lot of buying absorption here, which represents at this specific level, there is a lot of passive selling supply. So you need significantly more in general, more than in general, or more than on average, aggressive buying demand to overwhelm this passive selling supply. So once you successfully are able to break above this passive selling supply, then this level gets inverted from a passive selling protection to an aggressive buying protection. Because you required a large buying demand or a large number of aggressive buying demand to break above this passive selling supply. So when the market comes back, you expect for the same aggressive buyers that broke above this passive selling supply, which, let me remind you, was a lot of aggressive buyers, to step back in again and protect this level. Hence why it becomes inverted. And then you could look for a break and retest. You know, you ideally want to see sellers get absorbed and then continue higher. That is what I would actually be favoring. That is what I would be favoring. Okay, what's happening there? There we go. Now you can see buyers are still struggling to break above here. But yeah, you know, this is where market intuition comes in. Even though mechanically speaking, you know, you're playing above value area low, you're playing above value area high, you get absorption, you get sellers stepping in. You're not taking every single rotational setup if it doesn't make sense on the higher time frame with your narrative. Just a reminder, don't copy trade me. You will lose money. You will lose money. This stream isn't a signal. Let's see if I get my setup. Hopefully you guys are trading safe so far. Selling absorption within this candle. Buying initiation. See how this candle closes. Rent is due, bro. What do you mean? If this candle closes bullish, I would look to entertain another long here. And my stops would be around 29,300. So let's see how it closes. I want to see buyers really step in here and not get trapped. If they get trapped, then it's fucked. But yeah, they look like they're struggling. However, from what I've seen, we should be able to go higher. I lied, we're not. So now this becomes another level. very slow. There's no setup here anymore. You could use some logic behind it. Because, you know, these aggressive sellers down here, the 69 is trapped. If we were to continue higher, and if we break above this level, then you have passive selling supply that gets exhausted. So passive selling supply exhausted, aggressive sellers trapped. It should fuel the move higher. However, it would be a very aggressive play. It would be aggressive. If you was to play off of the break off this high, and, you know, stop loss somewhere around here or below here, it would be more aggressive than the usual setups. Hence why I'm leaning back with it. Yeah. Not really my bread and butter. What level is... Are we coming into any key levels here? No. I mean, the move higher shouldn't be met with any resistance once we are able to overwhelm passive selling supply. And the passive selling supply is going to be fragments from the value area high. But once we, you know, accept it above the value area high, then we pretty much just have low volume nodes. All right, so like I said, if you were aggressive, you could enter into here, and then the logic would make sense. So let's say you enter into here, stop loss below here, somewhere there. The logic does make sense because sellers are trapped, passive selling supply is absorbed, but it's aggressive. I wouldn't recommend it. But this is just to show you, you know, that it can potentially work out. And if it does work out, that is the logic behind it. So yeah. Let's see if it does work out. Or not. Don't take this. I'm not in this. Don't copy trade. It's not financial advice. I'm just teaching you guys, like, you know, how price moves. Supply and demand. Because when you have aggressive sellers that gets trapped here, even though it's not within this candle, they're still trapped if price moves higher. Right, so you see why you're super aggressive? You don't want to take these types of trades. But if it did work out, you know, that's the logic. Right, if you enter that, you would have been stop lost. So clearly, sellers are still protecting this level here. Looks like a really slow grind higher. There's not much happening anymore. Let's see if we could recover the -1R from the start of session. And see if we could end with any bangers. That would be ideal. But for now, down -1R already for the session. Let's see what we get. Aggressive selling absorption. So now, if this candle closes bullish, followed by the next candle, then you could look for a trade. That would be a nice setup. And it's a much clearer setup. Right, in that case. Because you've broken, the secondary candle would have broken above this high over here, where you had the rejection. And then within the first candle, you have that absorption. So absorption followed by follow through. Not followed by follow through, but with follow through. Doesn't look like we'll get that. So off the table for now. Let's check what M12 is currently showing. Yeah, a lot of within this candle. So this is where traditional footprint comes into handy. You know, I believe Mitchell asked that. Right, this is where it becomes handy. And this is why I use it on a high time frame. Because you can see like at each level. So I have 25 ticks per row. Hold on. Is this candle going to close bullish? Oh shit. Would that be a break and retest of the previous OBM high? Yes, this one here. That's the original OBM high. And then if you get this candle closing higher as well, that would also coincidentally close above where you had this as well. So that would be a good setup. Right, but for now, let's see how it opens and closes. I don't really count this as like a rejection level. This one's a bit weird. There's no absorption here. Right, you had aggressive buying that didn't get rewarded. They just become trapped. But when they become trapped, they'll have stop losses set below here. Right, wherever the fuck. And then when price continues lower, it will add more fuel to the aggressive selling demand. Because the stop losses now turn into aggressive market executions, right? Aggressive sell orders. So that should overwhelm the passive buying supply, and that is why you get, you know, large explosive moves when certain participants get trapped. However, you know, you're not getting much here, not getting much. So it's a bit weird. This high isn't really significant to me in my opinion, but it's still a high nonetheless, and we still had a reaction away from it. It's just that the way I see it, you know, theoretically, it doesn't seem like a very nice high where you would want to see it get retested. Ideally, I want to see it get broken, which is why this setup is so nice, because when you have the next candle closing bullish, you would close above this shit. Right, clearly, that's not what we got. So yeah, back to the waiting game. Back to the waiting game. Now I need to wait for like another setup to appear. Right, aggressive selling. Stepped in again. Aggressive selling here. Let's see if they get rewarded or not. H1 is heavily bullish. 1 hour is heavily bullish. Ah, this price action, bro. This price action. See what it's showing on 1 minute. Yeah, this price action is absolutely garbage. Absolutely garbage. Yeah, we didn't get a reward from aggressive selling, from the absorption of aggressive sellers. Buyers were unable to step in. So it looks like it's a slow grind. It's a slow grind. Like if the value area high wasn't here, the range would be this one. Right? Yeah. If you guys are copy trading me, which you shouldn't be, but if you are, you should be break even. Right? You should be break even. Because the first loss was me being really aggressive. But it isn't in the setup. As in, now you have aggressive buying demand. That looks like it is to be... Looks like it is to get absorbed. CFD is starting to flatten out. CFD is starting to flatten out, which would mean one of two things. It means we either get reversal from here, because buyers are failing to bring price higher, right? They're failing to stay in control, or you just get battle order, which is what it seems like the likely scenario, since it is at the value or high. Let's see. 12. We're just coming back into, you know, value area is currently being built here. Value is currently being built here, so it looks like the market might just want to stay within yesterday's value area rather than break out of it. It doesn't seem like it's likely going to break out anytime soon. Extremely slow grind. ES closes bullish. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the hourly, no, let's not do that. Fuck. If you look at the hourly, we're very consolidated. Very consolidated. Let me try showing you the hourly without breaking my stream. ABS, Firefox, NQ. Okay. Nope, wrong one. This one. There we go. Alright, so this is what we currently have on the hourly. You guys should be able to see it, right? Yeah, you should. This is what we have. So it's extremely consolidated at the moment. Extremely consolidated. Ever since, like I mentioned, right, this is much clearer to see. Friday's value area, somewhere around here. That's the highs. And then this is the low. So when you're looking at it from a range standpoint, this is still the range we are currently playing in. Yes, we are continuing lower range. Values being built here. Values being built here. Value was being built here. But buyers got more aggressive. But we rejected away from the value before that. So if you're looking at it from a value standpoint, this is where you had value. This is where we had value. Buyers got more aggressive and they rejected from the previous value area. So now we're just playing within this range. This is the range we are stuck in. And it becomes it's slightly an issue, especially when you're scalping, because there's no clear levels that you would take entries off of. Apart from, you know, yesterday's value area and stuff like that. But this is what we are currently playing with. So better price action will come when we break like that, or we break like this. Because now the overall balance range shifts from a balanced regime on a higher time frame to an imbalanced regime. So yeah. Okay, now let's switch back. Now let's switch back without trying to break my streaming platform. Where is it? Where is it? Extra charts, sibling. Okay, nice. Let's leave this page for now. And this is what we have. So we're back inside volume point of control. You know, price action has pretty much just shut the fan. Let's look at ES, see if there's anything. ES, like I mentioned yesterday, tends to have better rotational plays when it is in a balanced state of delivery. However, that isn't, you know, going to always be the case. Just generally speaking, it will have better rotational plays. So we opened here. Yeah, see? Yeah, this high. Break above, failure, absorption above here. Retest, absorption, initiation. You can look to go short here. Back to VWAP. So, you know, you can see ES offers slightly better rotational plays in the sense that you get better setups that are more clear. Whereas for NQ, when you're looking at it like this, it's pretty much just shit. Absolutely shit. So, and the reason why it's shit is because the setups aren't so clear. You really gotta like think. Well, let's actually go down a range to maybe 8 range. And then let's increase these. Yeah, let's keep it like that. Let's mess around a bit with the settings. CPL. Move down to maybe 4. 3. And then chart settings, CPR, change that to 3 as well. Let's keep it on 1. There we go. But yeah, not interested in trading ES right now. Want to focus solely on NQ. But this is the price action we have. This is the price action we have. So it's not the very best. Not the best, guys. Now we're just gonna get consolidated price action, right? You can almost guarantee it. We're just gonna consolidate around here. Yeah, just gonna consolidate. If we break below, you could start to look for a retest again to continue lower, but I wouldn't look for a rejection of a value area low. Because when you do that, you're just coming back inside volume point of control. So that isn't something good. I might have jinxed it. I said Friday. I said Wednesdays yesterday. Wednesdays are pretty much usually my best days. But it doesn't seem to be holding. That doesn't seem to be the case at the moment. But let's see. We still have 1 hour 45 of New York AM left. Still tons of opportunities that could show up. God. Yeah, I doubt anyone is able to get good trades off of this anyway. Depending on your strat. But generally speaking, a lot of people are gonna struggle with this price action. So don't worry if you're struggling at the moment, you're not alone. This is the price action that destroys the gambling and impatient traders. Yep. And you saw that happen to me, right? I got impatient with this one. I didn't wait for the secondary candle to close bullish like I usually do. And then I took that entry, man. You know, that's what happens. The market is going to punish you for not following your edge. But, you know, if I didn't take this, because it's not in my plan anyway, nothing would have set up at the moment. I would have still been break even. But I'm down -1 now. And that is the punishment that I took. That is the, you know, that was what I was willing to take a loss on if it didn't work out. But you could see when you don't follow your plan and you take a loss like that, it kind of sucks. But yeah, you are right, William. This is the price that destroys the gambling and impatient traders, right? And I think a lot of a big issue with impatience and, you know, naturally gambling is, of course, you know, you have a gambling mindset, but I think it's also down to the fact that you don't have a good framework. A lot of traders, they don't have a good framework for when to stay out and when to stay within the market. Because, you know, let's say you don't have these lines over here, right? You come into the session and you're trading basic price action. You would think this is just like a, you know, basic uptrend. You're looking to long at every retracement and so on, right? But this is where you get really messed up because you don't understand that we are in two-sided price delivery. We are in a balanced range, which is our previous day's value area. So you're going to get two-sided price action, which is exactly here, right? Which is exactly here. This is why a lot of traders get fucked. They are unable. They don't have good anticipation for when the market is going to consolidate. Right? And I think I've gotten really good at anticipating consolidated price action with the tools that I have. If you watch back all my streams and stuff, you could kind of see when you start to call that out. And I think that is a good skill to have. That is a good skill everyone should learn to master. Because when you master those type of skills, then you're going to take losses. You're going to take less losses. And that is, you know, that could be night and day between you becoming a profitable trader or not, right? You just have to take less losses if you want to become consistently profitable. Focus on that rather than taking more wins. If you take more wins, you open yourself to more risk. I thought it would break also, but took super small long with low stop loss, so I would scale it in if it broke because I ain't trusting this shit. Yeah, exactly. That's why I only entered it on prop firms, right? I didn't even enter it on my funded. I just entered it on evaluations because I knew it was a low probability setup. You always want to wait for the candle to actually break above rather than try and predict what will happen. Because our job as traders is to react, is to predict, not predict, react and anticipate rather than predict. Because if you try to predict the market, you're going to get fucked. You're absolutely going to get fucked. Good morning, Gold Funded. How are you? Good morning. Good morning. Right, you see here, two-sided price delivery. You know, we had rejections from this high, and when you're looking at it from like a line chart, you would think there would be some how do I go on line charts with X charts? Hold on, let me figure this out. I don't think that's a thing. Mono side, Okay, now I think bar side is the closest I could get to. But yeah, if you was looking at a line chart, then you would probably think that there was a setup here, but there wasn't. There was no short setups here. Well, there was here, but I was anticipating for shorts at this current price action. When it came to here, then maybe I would have changed because buyer delta started to flip, aggressive sellers started to take back control, but you know, still no setup there. Water. Large displacement to the downside. Break and retest. Don't look for a long here. Do not look for a long. That is the one thing I would avoid. If you do take a long, then I don't know. You can't even trail. There's no trail. I wouldn't take a long. If you take a long, you just have to accept that there's a very high chance you get taken out, or the market is going to move in unfavorable conditions because you're coming into volume point of control. So let's say you do take a long here. All right. It's likely it's just going to do this. God knows how long. And it's not, you know, it's not the type of trades you want to be in. Like, of course, eventually, right, it might hit take profit. But if you take a lot of those trades, it's just, one, it's not good for your mental health. Right? It's not good for your mental capacity sitting through all of that price action. And two, why stress yourself with it? You want to just take the cleanest trades possible. And the clean trades come from imbalanced states of delivery or rotational plays where there's no, where the next level or till resistance is pretty far away. That is where you're going to get like fast movements and stuff like that. So yeah, those are much better trades. So even if a long setup sets up here, I wouldn't really be interested. You know, that is what I'm anticipating. Of course, after like 30 minutes, we can just have a large push higher and I become completely wrong. But 9 times out of 10, right, you're going to get consolidated price action. And it's not going to be very nice. It's not going to be very nice at all. I think there's a good chance we retest 930 as well. Right, good chance we retest that. So the ideal scenario here, the ideal play would be break, retest, continue lower, start to fuck around at 930, dump lower, you can start to trail. Monday's point of control. Where's Monday's point of control? 29183. Yeah, 291. Yeah, that is also. Yeah, 29183. That is, yeah, that's also something to look out for as well. That's a good shout actually. But I don't, you know, it's not naked, so I don't really pay much attention to it. But if we do chop, then yeah, that would be a reason why. That would definitely be a reason why. But let's see. The downside with this is it's not just the value area that you're competing with. It's also the rounded numbers. So 29,300, 29,200. This move lower is just a result of more selling demand than passive buying. But it doesn't seem like there's much aggressive buyers stepping in here. Be careful, don't short this straight away. You're gonna get bricked. Well, you might get fucked, who knows. Yeah, it's definitely going to retest 930. And then you can look to do your break and retest. We had our break. Now you're looking for that retest. You really want to see buyers step in here. Right? Because even though aggressive selling alone and initiates lower means that passive buying supply is exhausted, you want to see aggressive buyers also get absorbed. And that will give you the highest probability setup because there isn't going to be resistance levels to the downside since all the buyers are either exhausted or absorbed. So if they're passive buyers, they're exhausted. If they are aggressive buyers, they are absorbed. But let's see. It could also just run off without us, you know. No issue there. It is what it is. Let's see. Come closer. Come higher. If I entered off of here with just this aggressive buying, it's going to be a bit fucked. I wouldn't recommend it. Even if this candle closes bearish, your stop loss would have to be like... could put it there. Right, and rather move lower. But this is such a small aggressive buyer. Let me see this shit. With large aggressive selling at the lows. Candle hasn't closed yet, by the way. Yeah, so those aggressive sellers didn't get rewarded. They are now trapped. Right, 108 aggressive selling is trapped here. And if we were to continue higher, it should provide fuel to the movement higher. But I still want to see if we could get our break and retest. If we could get like a break and retest, or not break and retest, but if we could get a retest at this high, then there's a potential to still enter here. You know, target the naked value area low. And then as it comes into this level, where 108 was absorbed, you would start to trail aggressively. So there's still the opportunity, there's still the chance for that. But for now, yeah, there was no setup here. Candle didn't close bearish. Doesn't look like we might be getting much. I wouldn't long here. Wouldn't long here. And even if you did, right, let's say this candle closed bullish and you long, you would target volume for control. And then the moment it hits value area low, you're going break even. So I wouldn't, you know, there's so many stuff that you have to take account when you take a long like this that I would just skip it. I wouldn't waste my risk. I wouldn't open myself to risk when that happens, because it's not an A+ setup. Pretty B or C tier. I would say it's a B trade. You still in your swing trade? No, I believe the scaled position got taken out, but original position is still in. No, my stop loss is just above here. Just move it to this high now. Yeah, I need to check on this afterwards. I don't have it open at the moment because I trade on CFDs for swings, since the overnight margins are much lower. So I'd rather just swing trade on CFDs. But yeah, I need to check on this. I should still be in it. So like for the swing, like I mentioned, right, I want to see this low get taken out. Right, this low over here where you had aggressive selling absorption, you know, you had a retest but fell to continue lower. This is, if we take out this level, there's a good chance we take out this low. And then once that happens, I'm looking for a dump to 28,500, which is, you know, next level of support. That is what I am currently anticipating for my swing. But let's see. Too soon to tell at the moment. Okay, listen very closely to this. If we, for setup to appear, the secondary candle has to close bearish, right? By the time it closes bearish, I wouldn't even enter this. The reason why I wouldn't enter this, despite it being, despite it showing you my setup, is because when the market comes down to this level, it doesn't leave enough space for a good break even. When it comes down to this level and I go break even, I'm looking at maybe, you know, 5 points, under 8 points worth of distance, right, for the market to move. So there's a good chance it takes me out for break even anyway. And if it doesn't take me out for break even, then it's likely I'm going to take a loss when it rejects from this low. Which is why if we had this setup here and this candle closes bearish, I wouldn't have taken that short. If we come up higher and then with the secondary candle closes bearish and I enter somewhere around here with my stops above here, then, you know, that leaves more room if I was to go break even for the trade to play out as it comes into this level. So that is why I wouldn't necessarily take a trade if we do get a setup here to go short. However, if we didn't have absorption here, right, if we didn't have this large absorption here and it was just basically like a weird high, weird low, like a weak low, and the setup happened, I would take a short. But yeah, that's what I'm worried about with this low over here. That's the absorption low. Like I said, if you take it long here, because mechanically it is a good long, right? Mechanically, in the terms of you get that entry confirmation. But, you know, when you're looking at the variables with the volume for control, value area low, it's not very good. But if you do take it long here, your target should be at volume point of control. And even then, like, 0.74R, so whatever. But the moment it comes into value area low, you're going to go break even. And if you don't, then you're going to at least trail it to this low over here. If, you know, this candle sets up. But that is if you took this long to go higher. I, of course, highly recommended against it. Right, previously. So, that is what I'm currently seeing. With price. So trade safe, guys. Trade safe. You know, don't look at this large expansion and feel FOMO. There was no setup there. It is what it is. A lot of times when the market moves really nicely and you don't have a setup, you just have to accept it. You're not going to be in every expansion move. You're not going to be in every market move that, you know, provides you with a good risk to reward and so on. Yeah, literally between two ranges. August just needs to be over. Honestly, August, such a slow month. Such a slow month. I'm still like up a lot on August, to be honest with you guys. Still up a lot with August. But that's the benefit of and the reason why I'm up a lot in August as compared to other months isn't because, you know, like in June and July I was up a lot because I took a lot of wins. August I'm up a lot because I took you know, not as many losses. I took less losses. So, you know, that is two ways you could increase your return. And in order to take less losses, you have a good framework, which is hold and behold, OBM. What was that? No, you see what I mean? You don't want to entertain this. You don't want to entertain this shit. Look at this. If you was to take a short, like, you know, even though there's no setup here, let's say there was a setup, you want to see price just dump the fuck down. If you want to take a long, you want price to just pump the fuck up. Right? Because even with rotational plays, you still want to see some sort of large expansion. Well, not large expansion, but like relative expansion. Because your rotational plays are based off the extremes. Right, you're always playing at the extremes or you're playing the imbalance. And that is where you get the, you know, the expansions. Or the quick reactions. When you have shit like this, you're just like, you don't want to hold through that shit. Like I said, this is where you go break even. Or trade your stops really aggressively if you was in this long. Right? Because if the market comes back down to here, then you might as well just close out. You don't want to be in this. You should ideally see a pump to the upside now, but we have this volume point of control, which is why your hard TP should be here. And for a lot of you, if your hard TP isn't there because you want a higher risk to reward and you're targeting VWAP, trail really aggressively. So now this is where your low should, this is where your stops should be. And then depending on how this candle closes, you can move up even more. But I wouldn't be conservative with my stops here. I want to just be out. You hit your long to be nice. Yeah, I mean, I told you guys, mechanically, it's a good setup. It's just that you have this volume point of control. If this volume point of control wasn't here, then I would have taken it as well. I would have taken it as well. Right, because it's a classic mean reversion rotational play. Value arrow high, value arrow low. You want to, you know, long, short. It's classic. That's what a rotational play is. But I want my rotational plays to have the highest probability of working out. But yeah, that's very nice, Ayush. Congratulations on your trade. You see? That's why you want your TPs to be out volume point control. It's not random. It's not random at all. If you didn't see this shit, then you'd think it's random because the level, like, it just looks like fuck all. It doesn't look like anything is here. And it doesn't look like anything is here. Like, from this leg to this high to this low over here, it doesn't look like there's anything here. Right? But the market is never random. It always has logical levels. It always has TP. I mean, it always has levels that it has good memory of and will react off or, you know, start to consolidate around. Don't get me wrong. We can still continue higher from here. Right? Because we failed to find acceptance below here. But the journey to continue higher is going to just be really choppy. And when it gets choppy like this is around... If we didn't reject from this low, and this was just like a random volume point of control, then it would be like a 50-50 chance. However, because we rejected from this low, for this specific example, you're still going to get that consolidation, but it's around 60-40. Right? 60% to continue higher. Actually, with just two ranges so close, we just combine these two ranges into one volume profile. Let me see. I will combine. Usually I combine when it's overlapping. Right? Usually I combine when the value area is overlapping. So for example, these two I combine. This two I combine. But I do see your point here, because if you have this one, and then this one is like in the middle, you can... Let me see how that looks, actually. Hold on, let me just get rid of all these drawings. See how that looks on here. Merge. This much? No, that's free. Let's merge this one, and merge this one over here. Two 29147. The reason why I don't like merging is because the value area is just super massive. The value area is just fucking big as hell. 29150 to 2941 to 29400. That's like 250. 250 points of range with the value area. That's the reason I stay away from merging unless it's overlapping, unless the value area is overlapping. That's the only, like, for example here, when you merge it, the value area, the range is still similar. But when you merge these three, it just becomes like super big. It's too broad. The range is too broad. See, I wouldn't merge it. Let's get into a comfier position. I need to get a standing desk, low key. Let's get a standing desk. Has anyone taken trades so far? Anyone taken a trade so far? Curious to see. Apart from I used to that long from here to volume bottom control. I mean, it was still a good 1 hour trade. Still a good 1 hour trade for prop firms, but wouldn't have taken it on personal. Not very good. You see what I mean? You're going to just get two-sided delivery. It's not going to expand. It's not going to expand. Probably looks even worse when you go down to like the 1 minute. Let's see. Right, it should be much clearer. Whoa, what the fuck? This ain't 1 minute. 9:47, 9:49, 9:50. Yeah, what happened there? Holy. Let's reload that. What a dog happened there? Okay, how to push higher. Yeah, see, it's clearer in the 1 minute. How you get a consolidation. See? Of course, with big trades, it looks like, you know, sometimes all of this could just be within 1 or 2 candles because of the way, not big trades, range chart, because of the way the range charts are set up. But, you know, it is much clearer how you count that consolidation with the 1 minute. Trading is never random, guys. Trading is not random. Trading is never random. Don't know how many times I have to say it, but it's not random. Yeah, see what I mean? So that entire consolidated range was only 2 candles here. Because it only moved, you know, around 20 to 30 points. For volume profiles, do you just use the previous New York session or the whole day? CME, regular trading hours. So previous New York session, including AM and PM. 9:30 AM New York time to 4 PM New York time. I used to use extended trading hours as well, or electronic trading hours. And I figured the way I trade is going to be easier by just using regular trading hours. Because in a nutshell, I'm a range trader. I don't want to take into account the pre-sessions ranges or the pre-session levels. Sometimes it just gets a bit too confusing, gets a bit too clustered. I like to keep it as simple as possible. That's the best way, in my opinion, to trade. Keeping things as simple as possible to reduce your mental taxation. If you're able to reduce that, you're going to have less psychological issues, you're going to have less mental issues, and you're going to trade much more clearer. Yeah. So that's where the phrase analysis paralysis comes from. When you have too much stuff on your charts, it just gets a bit, yeah, not something you want to be in. Let's remove this. Hold on, let me just clear this volume profile. And clear. Ismail Futures. Hello, chat. Hello to you too. Can you guys hear the sirens in the background? I don't know if my mic picks it up because I have a noise gate. But it's like sirens going off every 2 seconds. So annoying. Yeah, like price action so far. Yeah, you might as well go sleep. You're better off sleeping than trading this shitty price action. Hopefully tomorrow gives us better price action, to be honest, hopefully. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen if we close like this. Like if we close like how we are closing right now, you can see how much value area is overlapping. Like it's actually really bad to trade in. So if we close like this and we're overlapping the previous session's value area, then tomorrow might be GG's again. Tomorrow might actually be a good game again. Signals, please, bruh. Yeah, signal right now is to sit on your bloody hands. Long and hope for the best. I told you guys, right? It's just gonna, even if we do continue higher, which is like a 60-40% chance, it's going to be a slow grind higher because of this level. The only setup I see happening is that break and retest VWAP. Boom. To the upside. That's the only setup I see happening. But yeah. Still H4 is showing. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good either. Ideally, if we were to continue lower, this candle closes bearish. Because if this candle closes bearish, these guys are trapped. Right. Well, technically, you know, if we continue lower, then these guys are going to be trapped anyway, regardless. They're underwater. But if it closes bearish, then that's an even better confluence. Right? Candle closures always matter much more. Where's the VWAP here? Why is my VWAP never aligned together? Flipping extra charts. So if we get a break above here now, which is what we are getting, and we get a closure, you can look for retest, selling absorption, continue to the upside. Above value area high. Yeah. I wouldn't look for a break and retest off of the value area high until we break above this level over here. That is what I would, you know, be holding off on. Until then, yeah. You either sit on your hands or you go to bed. Sleepy, 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 sleepy. Bravo, sleepy, sleepy. Don't get mixed up with the time frame chart, by the way. Never get mixed up with that. That's just for me to cross-check. Cross-check the big trades. I don't actually look at this for analysis, so don't get mixed up with that. Brother, sleepy, sleepy. Nice break to the upside. Jeez, when is this kind of going to close? Yeah, nice break to the upside. Okay, now you're looking for a retest. If you enter straight off the initiation, you might get cooked. More times than not, you're going to get cooked. So now I'm waiting for a retest. I want to see sellers get absorbed and then continue higher. And, you know, the same reason for all the other trades, it's the same thing. When you break above VWAP, you're going to have passive selling supply trying to protect this level. So when you break above, sellers get absorbed. I mean, aggressive sellers get exhausted. So now with the retest, you're looking now you're looking at aggressive sellers rather than passive sellers, right? Because passive sellers are already out of the picture, and you know you don't have any resistance level until at least this level over here. But for now, passive sellers out of the picture, you're looking for aggressive sellers to get out of the picture as well. When you have those two types of sellers out of the picture, which are the only two types, aggressive and passive, you're looking for a nice imbalance to the upside. Right, because there should be no one in your way now. But yeah, let's see. See, this is why you don't want to enter straight off the break. Very low probability. Because sellers are still present here. You can see. Footprint bar statistics, minus 149, and this is still negative. Still negative. CVD, you know, faded down a bit. If aggressive sellers are still in the picture, then there's a 50-50 chance. That's why you want to wait for that retest to see them get out of the picture. And now we're back to bullshittery. Once we touch this level. Once we touch this level, it's back to bullshit. Just a reminder, I will be streaming again tomorrow. We'll be streaming again tomorrow. We'll be... How do I make like a... Hold on. No, you know what's better? I should like get a bot here. How do I get a bot? Community moderation participants. How to add a streaming chat bot to YouTube. You know those things that just announce every few seconds? Linking your YouTube account to a bot and then add the bot URL as a moderator. Oh, that is so long. That is so long. Hold on, let me see. Let me see. That way I could remind you guys. Remind you guys of the times I'm streaming. But yeah, I'm streaming again tomorrow, same time, 2:15 p.m. BST, 9:15 a.m. EDT, and then it should be 1:15 p.m. UTC. Service count closes. Got absorption. Next Wednesday, I should be streaming with Chart Fanatics again. And then soon I will be streaming Wednesday PM session as well. I don't really trade PM, to be honest. I really don't. I don't like sitting on the chart for so long. But if it's for you guys, I shall do it. Let's see. If this candle is bullish, I'm looking to go long. That is not a... That's not a signal, by the way. That is not a signal. Don't copy trade me, please. And this would be the only valid setup for me so far today, apart from maybe this one over here. No follow through with buyers? Question mark? Really had an absorption. Now you just want to see follow through with buyers. M12 does look good for longs as well. But let's see. Delta's starting to flip bullish now. Let's see how it closes. Gotta keep watching, bro. Gotta keep watching, bro. If this closes bearish, longs are off the table. Longs are off the table. Well, I just done something to my stream. Okay, there we go. Negative delta. Always eyeing the delta here. I'm always eyeing that. If this delta flips bullish and the candle closes bullish, boom, long to the upside, to the moon. If it doesn't, then we cooked. And shorts are off the table. I mean, longs are off the table. Let's see. Give us a long, baby. Give us a long, baby. You know, this absorption was also like pretty small. But yeah, it doesn't look like we get that long. Sellers are starting to get, I mean, not starting, but they're still holding control. They're still maintaining control here. Oh. Can we close bullish? Can we close bullish, chat? Question mark. Has it closed yet? No, sellers, another aggressive seller. They're still not getting rewarded. Let's see. Give me a Trump tweet. This is the perfect time for a Trump tweet. I'm quitting. I'm done with this slow market. Yeah, quit whilst you're ahead. It is a very slow market. Right, but I mentioned it, right? You're going to get a slow market. With all the things I mentioned at the start of this stream with my outlook. Pretty much anticipated it. You know, you're playing in between two ranges. You're playing in between multiple points of control. You're inside yesterday's value area. Right? It's not random that the market rejected from here or here. It's not random that the market consolidated around here. Right? Nothing is freaking random. Nothing is random. If this candle closes bullish, I would still go long. But the only thing that would hold back the longs is going to be the negative delta. Yeah, that's the only thing that would hold back the longs. And it's a very slow market. Gonna enter into a long now. Why do I always want delta to close? I don't always want delta to close bullish. But yeah, delta. The most favorable conditions for delta is to close in a direction or to be as close as the direction as your entry set up. So obviously, if you're looking to go long, you want delta to be and CVD to be as bullish as possible, because that means aggressive buyers are in control. Delta is just the difference between aggressive buyers and aggressive sellers, right? So So yeah, if delta is positive, then that is what would move the market higher because there's more buying demand than selling demand. And then it just becomes a game of whether that buying demand is able to overwhelm the passive selling supply or not. Like you can look here, right, and I mentioned this. Delta was still negative when this candle closes bullish, right? But I still entered it, and I'm saying if we do reverse from here, it's because Delta is still in control. Delta is still negative, and sellers are still in control. We are unable to move higher if buyers are unable to take back control because there isn't any buying demand that overwhelms aggressive selling demand. So the market has no reason to move higher to overwhelm any outstanding buying demand since there is more selling demand than buyers, right? Because Delta aggressive participants is what moves the market. It's not passive supply. And Delta is the difference between those aggressive buyers and aggressive sellers. So yeah, like I entered into this trade, but it's not the highest probability setup because Delta is pretty much flat. You know, it's negative, and you know you're in a very slow moving price action, and you're pretty much in the middle of this range. But most of the time, you're going to get out with VWAP. That's just the risk you have to accept. But yeah, this is the mechanically speaking, this is in plan. This is the only setup so far that is in plan for me, and you know doesn't have anything in its way. This one, like I said, was also a mechanically good setup, but we had volume pump control. So let's see. I think, you know, because of the price action we've had so far here, I think this is where you're going to get that actual selling protection rather than at the value area high. So you could look to target around here and then trail aggressively as we approach value area high. And that is what I would do. Let's see what the market does. Once we approach, you know, 280s, I would move my stop to VWAP. And let's see how it does, right? We have an aggressive buy here that steps in. Delta has flipped bullish. Yeah, break even at value area high. For now, that is what I would aim to do. I would definitely break even at value area high. Because if we are unable to, so if you're trading props, just hard TP at value area high. If you're trading funded props, just hard TP at value area high, man. You don't need to aim for higher unless you're like, trading personal or something. But I do, you know, I do see the market going higher to at least this high over here rather than reject from the value area high. But just in case it doesn't, and just in case you don't have a fixed TP here, I would go break even at the value area high. Because if we reject from here, there's a good chance it's going to take out your stops anyway and come back into the volume point of control, because the volume point of control is going to act as a magnet. And we could still just consolidate within this value area. So yeah. Let's see. So these aggressive buys are stepping in, but they're not getting rewarded yet. So I wouldn't move my stops too quick. I want to see clear buying dominance and clear exhaustion of passive selling supply. Then you could look to move your stops. But yeah, this is the only trade I'm going to take, like the last trade of the session. Alright, I'm shifting my stops to this VWAP. So I'm pretty much nearly risk-free now. Okay, you can do it to this low now. Right. You know, you got 0.2R on the table maybe. Do it to this low. And then this is where you start to hard TP. Or depending on where you got in. Around here, that would be a 1 hour trade and you would hard TP there. Just undid a bit there. So I'm basically risk-free now, and you should be almost risk-free as we approach value area high. Of course, it's not always going to be precise at the value area high because, you know, it's just a general number. You need to take into account like 5 to 10 point radius. But yeah, you should be almost risk-free now. My stops is just here. I don't want price to come back to it. I really don't. Let's check on M12. This is the number I'm focusing on. Don't get mistaken, by the way. Like, I don't have a mechanical rule for delta. There's no mechanical rule for that. That's just me using market intuition. Could be better off with using depth of market and level 2 data, but I just prefer it this way. The moment delta flips here, right? The moment delta flips, we should go to value error high. So this is the number to look out for. CVD has created a lower high now with a higher high. You know, you could see these buyers get absorbed here. But I think generally speaking, when you're looking at the overall narrative as well, whoa, what the flip happened there? Okay, generally speaking, right, when you're looking at the overall narrative, we're above baseline with CVD. M12 is extremely bullish. So as long as they're able to hold control, then... Oh, there's a gap because... Yeah, so if you're wondering why there's a gap with CVD... Okay, my charts are just messing up. Hold on. If you're wondering why there's a chart where there's a gap with CVD, is because it's broken. It's because it's broken. Yeah, they need to fix it in the next update. But it's broken. So right now I'm pretty much just eyeballing it. But yeah, it is broken. You see, ideally you want to see this candle close bullish. If it doesn't close bullish, then you might as well just get out of position. But just a reminder, I do only have 0.2 R left on the table, or might even be less. Alright, so I'm basically already risk free from here. Yeah, dude, if there's anything on extra charts that isn't matching up with your stuff, or like something doesn't look right, just assume it's broken. There's a lot of broken shit on this platform, man. There's a lot. They said they're gonna fix it in the next update, and I really hope they will. But God knows when that update is. Like on the high time frame, CVD isn't that broken, but I guess on range chart is broken. VWAP is broken, everything is broken. VWAP is broken, range chart is broken, CVD is broken, candles are broken, right? Remember last Friday? No, it was last Thursday. We missed like so many nice trades that ran for like more than 3-4 hours because the candles didn't close correctly on extra charts. And that's a big thing for me. Like candle closures are a big thing for me with the way I trade. So yeah, if we the first trade I took wasn't exactly in plan, but down -1 R with prop firms. Didn't take it on personal because I knew it was in the plan. But if we were able to take profit here, that would be break even for 1 R for the day for prop firms. And then depending on how we come here, then I would trade it on personal. And hopefully end in the green for personal. But yeah, doesn't look like sellers are able to, buyers are able to step in and hold here. Delta is still extremely negative. Yeah, extremely negative delta. Buyers look like they're starting to get exhausted. All right, out for minus 0.5 0.19. 0.19. Watch your flip now. Watch your flip. Watch your flip. But yeah, small loss. I think gonna call it a day. Gonna call it a day here. I will be streaming again tomorrow, so make sure you tune in. Hopefully we get a better price action. But like I said, if we are still within, if the candle still closes like this, right? If the day still closes like this, overlapping value area, you know, tomorrow might be another difficult day. Not another difficult day, but another slow day. But yeah, hopefully you guys found this stream insightful. Let me know if you have any last minute questions. If not, then I'm gonna end the stream in 30 seconds. Gonna end the stream in 30 seconds. Let's see. There's still a good chance we reject from here, continue higher. But it is what it is. I don't want to be in this type of market condition anyway. Alright, I'm gonna end the stream here. Thanks as always. I appreciate it, Berkeley's. Hopefully you enjoyed that stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care, trade safe. Don't blow your account. See you tomorrow, Jaden. And yeah, let's end the stream and Twitch.